Good morning, gearheads. Welcome to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM. We just watched the Formula One qualifying from Silverstone for the iconic British Grand Prix. This is John Massengale, very excited to be with you. And I'm joined by Bob Varsha over Zoom and former Haas F1 team manager, Dave O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill, I want to start with you because I want to start with some British voices, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me on again. What a fantastic...
Enough British voices for one morning. Welcome, Dave.
Yeah. Great Grand Prix. And of course, the crowd there is fantastic, very knowledgeable, and always get behind the car or the driver, whichever one is up front, you'll hear the cheers. And obviously you can hear that in the car as well, the drivers comment about hearing it. And there's huge screens there as well, so the drivers can see a lot of what's going on. And normally in this Grand Prix, which it did this morning in qualifying, the weather plays a part. It's like a little microclimate up there.
Yeah.
So we see sprinkles of rain and then the sun, similar to Wimbledon weather. But yeah, good weekend, lots of camping.
I saw a helicopter shot of what I thought was a parking lot. And as they zoomed in, it was all
camping.
Tents.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable. There must have been 5,000 little tents all in this, what looked like a parking lot. It was crazy. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful track, and a great location up there, former World War II aerodrome, lots of wind, lots of weather, as Dave says, and lots of camping in no small part because it is a brutal place to get in and out of. And especially after we heard Greg Maffei say in that interview last week that they're expecting another record-busting crowd of 400,000 plus over the 3 days.
I'm hearing, Bob, 480,000. That would be bigger than the Coda crowd record that we had last year of 440. So this is amazing. Well, guys, let's jump into some qualifying discussion. I've taken my my Post-it note and stuck it over Max Verstappen, and it looks really amazing after that.
Oh, it is so close now, and they mentioned it on the broadcast. The field, said Martin Brundle, is creeping up on Red Bull. They know they're under pressure. And, they're still dealing with those penalties they were given for breaking the cost cap last year. So they may run out of things like wind tunnel time when they most need it. What do you think, Dave?
Yes, I think the charge is on, like you say. Of course, we've come to the first circuit with huge straights, real fast corners, coming from Austria. 10 corners, you've got 18 here in the British Grand Prix, very, very flat. There's a lot to be gained on this track. This normally splits the field. You can see the updates that McLaren have brought have certainly worked. But Red Bull, they have, apart from getting out of the pit lane onto the circuit, they seem to be damaging their car there, which wasn't a great move. I think Max said he had a load of understeer getting out of the garage. I don't know if you saw the front wing damage. Yeah.
I saw that. Max cracked up a wing just getting out of the garage. That was good timing to do that, but yeah, he smashed it. It was in two pieces. It was a pretty big crunch there.
Oh yeah, look at the damage to the wall. No pressure there, would you argue? I don't think so. I think Max was in a hurry, and he got what you get when you're in a hurry in a tight pit lane.
Yeah, well, by the way, we are going to have Chris Medland join us from Silverstone. He's struggling a bit with connection right now, but he is getting some interviews for us. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and start with one of those interviews because the Williams team has been really quick all weekend, amazing pace, really exciting to see that. And you can hear the crowd cheering them on. And Chris Medland caught up with the American driver, Logan Sargeant. Let's hear from Logan.
Just waiting for Logan Sargeant, who is doing lots of photos, very popular in here. And he's had a day that I imagine might be a bit bittersweet, Logan, your second Q2 appearance. But at times during that session, you showed even better pace than 14th shows. So how do you reflect on it?
Yeah, it's such a tough session. I think we we can't get away from mixed conditions at the moment. I think a full dry session would have been better for us, but I mean, it is what it is. We made the most of it. I think not having a new set there at the end, I had to do my last Q2 lap on a set that already on a full lap in Q1 right before the red came out. And I just felt like it must have lacked some grip. I didn't have the same feeling in that last run, but it is what it is. I made the most of it, and I think credit to the team. They've had the car in a great place all weekend. Alex has done a phenomenal job, and we'll try to capitalize on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Alex ends up P8, so it shows in raw pace, you were just trying to get into that top 10. Like, how do you feel you've been performing the last 2 weekends? The pace looks like it's taken a step at tracks that you're good at.
It has, but there's definitely work to be done. I'm still missing those last 3-4 tenths. It is a long track here, so it's still tough, but I'm not far away. It's really difficult. I'm trying my best to keep getting better. It was as we said, a really tough session with all the damp patches really in the high-speed corners, right where you're probably going to make the mistake. So, tricky.
Looked it, but what about tomorrow then? Race performance hopefully stays dry, I imagine would be the hope for Williams anyway. Is this a race that you maybe could target sneaking a point?
You never know what can happen. Safety car rates here are pretty high. We'll do our best to keep our nose clean. I think we had pretty good high fuel pace on Friday, so that's a positive. I can promise you we're going to do our best to go forward. We're going to try and keep our nose clean, but at the same time attack. That's got to be the mindset. That's what we're going to take into tomorrow. And, I'm going to do my homework tonight, see what I can do better, and go forward again tomorrow.
Great stuff. Good luck. Thank you.
Okay, so Logan Sargeant was 4 tenths off his teammate, which that's a lot. It was really encouraging all weekend, and even at the beginning of qualifying there. But Dave O'Neill, what do you think about Logan Sargeant at this point in his progress?
Well, I think he sounded a bit more confident this time around, which is nice. There's still a little bit of negativity in his speech. Seeing what we can do, and I'm still 4 tenths off, type thing. So he's looking at mistakes, whereas he should be looking forward. I think it's coming. It's nice to see him there, and I'd say nearly on the pace. 18 corners. 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 mile track, 4 tenths off the pace with your teammate. I don't think it's as bad as it looks. It is still 4 tenths, it's half a second type thing. But over that long circuit, high speed stuff as well. He just needs to get a couple of small things right, and all of a sudden he's 2 tenths. And once you see a 2 tenth gap, you can zone in on your teammate. So his challenge is to beat his teammate, or at least equal him. And then once he does that, his confidence level is going to rise. And then he can go for a duel every time he goes out,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Dave. He's dwelling on the bad stuff when he should perhaps have a look at what he's doing right and how he can connect those dots and string the good bits together. And as you say, 4 tenths of a second around this absolute rocket ship of a racetrack has always been among the fastest laps in Formula One. There's a lot of places you can lose time. I don't think that 4 tenths off of Albon is that bad, particularly with this much improved Williams. And we've had James Voles, their team principal, on the air saying, we're going in the right direction. Albon said after Friday practice, we're good, but we're not quite sure why. We have to go in and find out and do exactly what Dave was talking about. Look at our strengths. What have we done that has made us quicker? And let's work on repeating that.
Yeah.
Well,
and sorry, John, I was just going to say really quickly is with the budget they haven't got, there's a good chance that Albon has a couple more tweaks on the car than Sargeant has. Not saying he has, but there's a good chance when you don't have the budget to produce four B-spec wings to go to Silverstone. Sargeant could have the A+ wing on the car, or for example. So I wouldn't say the cars are 100% equal at this point.
Well, look, we got to shift and talk about this qualifying, because Max Verstappen, pull the rabbit out at the end there, I really thought that Lando Norris was going to be on that pole watching that, and commentators saying, "Oh, looking at the sector times." I don't know why I was delusional, but Max Verstappen continues his dominance. But how exciting is that to see the McLaren cars, Lando Norris on the front row and Piastri right behind him? And I mean, at the beginning of the season, McLaren was nowhere, and they were, talking about all these upgrades. Well, clearly the upgrades have resulted in some good times today.
Yeah, I'd love to quote Ross Brawn, who many years ago said, with a rules change, whatever it was at that time, not 2022, but well before that, he said, it was the cost cap. That's what it was. He said, we're going to find out now who the good team managers are. Who's going to make the decisions, the technical directors, about which path we're going to go on to make the car better, because we don't have the ability to, buy it, invent it, create it, do whatever we need to do. The money's not there. So you're going to find out who the good team managers are as they work their way through the possibilities to get the best race car at the end. And that may be what we're seeing at both Williams and at McLaren. Andrea Stella gets a lot of credit. They're doing a great job there.
Dave O'Neill, what do you think? We are at a really fast racetrack. Are we seeing? I felt like that's what was why we were seeing some of the Williams times. But what do you think? Is that potentially McLaren as well?
Yeah, I think the upgrades they've brought to the car, certainly at Silverstone, you kind of try to reduce the drag on the car. I.e., you're not trying to carry as much wing. You're trying to make the brake duct smaller. You're trying to make the air intake for the cooling system smaller. All of those areas create drag in order to keep the car at a certain temperature, or to make the brakes as effective as they need to be. So, the more wing you can take off the car and keep the grip, is where it's at. And again, that's an engineering challenge in itself. What I did notice today is a lot of the floors at the back, if you look at where the rear wheels are, they're virtually touching the ground. And I think that's where they're closing the tunnels off to get the grip. So, the car is almost like a vacuum cleaner. It's sucking down with the way the aero works on the cars. And I think, some of the top teams, certainly the McLaren I noticed, Red Bull obviously, but the corners of the floors near the rear wheels are sucking down, which is closing the air gap, therefore giving you the stick to the ground, if you like. If anyone played Scale Electric when they were younger, and put a magnet underneath, it's similar to that. So those are the things. And again, Williams has always had a decent car. On the aero side, it's normally the mechanical grip, etc. And of course, McLaren are making strides. They've got some real clever people there. They're bringing people from Red Bull. I wouldn't say all of it's paying off straight away, but definitely some of the nip and tuck they can do straight away is definitely helping, for their car.
Well, behind the McLarens are both Ferraris, Charles Leclerc, followed by Carlos Sainz in 4th and 5th. And they're right on the tail on the lap times of the McLarens. And
how about that little conversation that Carlos Sainz had in the pit lane when he had to let his teammate Charles Leclerc go by? You heard him tell the team, hey, remember this. I'm in greater jeopardy than he is. I'm higher in the championship than he is. But you're telling me to let him go by? Come on. Remember, it was at Silverstone last year that Sainz was told to let Leclerc by late in the race. And he said, why are you doing this to me? I'm ahead. I can deal with the leaders. Let me do it. Sainz is definitely chafing under that Charles is our boy burden he's having to carry.
Well, and their Q2 lap times were what, 1,200ths apart. So they're clearly just about the same pace there. But yeah, that was interesting, Bob. That could continue to drag on a little bit, couldn't it? Those kind of team battles like that can get a little bit.
Oh yeah,
they get contentious
right
and worse and worse.
Absolutely. I mean, Sergio has basically removed that problem at Red Bull because he's not challenging. Max Verstappen like he was earlier this season. But the Sainz Leclerc thing just really seems to have turned into a bit of a potboiler.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a word from our sponsor, VMware. How does VMware help McLaren Racing accelerate innovation? The McLaren Formula One team relies on key apps to enhance vehicle aerodynamics, optimize car components, and make real-time data-driven racing decisions. By using the VMware Anywhere workspace, McLaren team members gain frictionless access to apps and other resources from anywhere in the world. VMware technology can even help McLaren racing teams stay connected to apps in remote spots around the globe, like those locations where the Neon McLaren Extreme E races. Whether they're on an island or on a desert, team members can count on fast, reliable network connectivity using VMware SD-WAN technology. Across industries, organizations depend on VMware cross-cloud services to do business in an app-driven multi-cloud world. With VMware, you can build, run, and access your apps on your choice of clouds, and you can manage all of those clouds as easily as one. VMware, the smarter way to cloud. Learn more at vmware.com. I got to sit down with the VMware Chief Technology Officer and doing an interview that we're going to put out. It was really fascinating for a tech geek like me, and thanks to those guys. But let's continue down the grid a little bit, because as we move down, we get to see the Mercedes cars, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, and I don't know why I was possibly expecting a little more. What do you think, Bob, from here at Silverstone?
Oh, definitely. I was expecting more. You know, Lewis is a hero beyond description for the folks up in those grandstands. And yeah, they've been mysteriously slow. There was a lot of talk. Maybe they were sandbagging a bit on Friday, but that wasn't reflected in the radio transmission, where Lewis kept telling the team, I've got no grip anywhere. Russell was having the same problem. They improved a bit Friday afternoon in FP2. And I don't recall this morning's results, but I mean, they weren't terrible. But yeah, they made Q3, but basically only just. I mean, the McLarens are now ahead. The Ferraris are ahead. The Red Bulls both should be ahead, but with Checo going out in Q1 today. And I should soften that by saying, I think Checo was very much the victim of that red flag timing. He sat in the pit lane for 9 minutes before going out while his tires lost temperature. He was at the head of the queue when they did go back out, but then he needed to do a faster second lap and he couldn't do it for whatever reason. And yeah, life is tough for Checo right now.
All right. Well, Chris Medland is out at Silverstone and he caught up with McLaren boss Zak Brown. Let's hear.
And I'm going to absolutely doorstep Zak Brown while he's trying to walk along to the paddock. Where are we going, Zak?
Apparently you go do a little bit of media work. People want to talk to you when you have a good qualifying session.
Tell me honestly that you, in your wildest dreams, thought you'd have both cars in the top three here.
I thought we'd get the front row. No, of course not. No, I thought we were definitely strong enough to have both cars in Q3. Being, in the first two rows, I didn't expect that. Drivers did an unbelievable job. Team did a great job getting them out on the track strategically. And, of course, all the men and women at McLaren who have been upgrading the car, building the car. So great team effort, just a nice reward for everyone.
And a great team effort overnight, I imagine, as well, because you didn't look all that quick yesterday.
No, that was quicker than we thought it would be. And what's funny is you start to shift to a little bit of a, I wonder if we could have got pole. But there's a gap there, so we'll take second and third. If we can finish there, that would be that'd be a great thing.
Do you feel like you can, though? Is this upgraded car that competitive?
I think we've got strong race pace, so I don't think it's going to be easy, but it's certainly the goal. We don't want to come into Sunday planning on going backwards.
And is it the upgrade or is it the livery?
Yeah, well, it's definitely the livery, isn't it? Of course, and it's the livery on the upgrade. It's the combination of.
Well, great job today, and I'll let you go and do some more interviews because, it looks like a lot of people want to speak to you.
Thank you very much.
I'm surprised that our Chris could reach that high because I'm sure Zak was walking about 6 feet off the ground right now.
Well, I was going to say similar, that you don't need a camera to see the smile on Zak Brown's face. You can hear it in his voice. And we got to get a break in. But Dave, you're smiling ear to ear. I want to get your feedback on Zak Brown after this break. You're listening to Speed City F1, back after this. All right, we're still live on YouTube. Let's see who we got out there today. Yeah, we're live on YouTube and Facebook. TW's here as always, saying hello. Andy P jumps in, of course, America's #1 McLaren fan. He says, front row, all caps. Yeah, Andy, I was waiting to see your comments. In fact, let's see what Andy P says. McLaren upgrades doing the job when they have shown good one-lap pace before. They're really good in Sector 1 and Sector 2, hanging on in Sector 3. Today, their best sector was consistently Sector 3. I know you're excited, Andy.
Well, for McLaren fans out there, if I can interrupt, turning to our friend, virtual stat man, Sean Kelly, Norris has given McLaren its first front row start at Silverstone since Heikki Kovalainen was on pole in 2008.
Wow.
Heikki Kovalainen, the little Finn.
I think it's going to be
Hungaroring.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting tomorrow with the tyres. You know, we talked about Mercedes earlier and why they didn't quite perform today. And I think they don't like the cold weather. The tyres, they seem to, you know, maybe have brought some aero to the track, but they can't get any temperature or can't get temperature into the tyres. You know, the comments Lewis came out with, I have zero grip. But McLarens seem to like colder.
Here we go.
Colder temperatures.
Okay, we got 20 seconds here. I shouldn't say Max Godfrey on YouTube was saying, I can't fathom how Albon sneaks into P2 in Q2, which is amazing. Logan right behind him only gets 9th. Makes zero sense to me. He was flying and matching Albon's time. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Max, but yeah, that was disappointing, the gap that we talked about. So, all right, here we go.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back. One thing we haven't talked about, gentlemen, Checo Perez once again not through to Q3. I'm really amazed. This is what, the 5th time he hasn't made Q3? Is it 5th in a row, maybe?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, Bob, what do you think?
Well, I mean, as I said earlier, I think sometimes it's wrong place, wrong time, just bad luck. But I'm wondering also if in the never-ending development of these cars, Red Bull has done some things that have kind of taken the car away, so to speak, from Checo and more in the direction of Max, which I suppose is not unusual when you've got a dominant factor in the team like Max Verstappen. But I wonder if the car somehow is just getting away from Sergio. It's just not what he likes.
Yeah, what do you think, Dave O'Neill?
Well, yeah, I think that's probably quite a good point. And, you know, with Max on a different level, and, you know, we talk about the second driver not being able to keep up, but it also goes the other way around, you know, with the faster driver. He's pushing the limits, so he's getting the car on the, you know, 10/10ths all the time. And in order to move forward, they have to make changes, whether it's, you know, a mechanical grip or whether it's an aero grip that's required. And this is, you know, this place is where the drivers need to be on their game. It's all fast corners, and I don't know how to express it. It's just, you know, this place, Monza, you know, Silverstone especially, if you don't join it together, you can look through, you know, when they come down the old main straight, and then you take the car into the complex there. You change your direction is huge, and if you're not committed, you have to lift off, and if you lift off, your tires cool down, and then you spend another lap warming your tires up. But I don't think the team helped in this case, as Bob alluded to. I don't think the team helped Checo with the amount of time he sat in the pits. He might as well have been, you know, wearing slippers when he went out the pit lane with 9 minutes of cooling the tires down. The brakes were cold. And, you know, Max obviously damaged his front wing, so they pulled him back in, they put the blankets back on him. And all those factors add up to being unlucky at that time, which Perez was, you know. And Max went out and he had everything hot and he warmed it up and off he went like normal. So
I think there's also that mental aspect of the whole thing. You know, the pressure just accumulates on Checo now. It's like, oh my God, it's happening again. What am I going to do? You tighten up, and I don't know. I've never driven a Formula One car, but it's that whole team dynamic of I'm not doing my job as the number 2 driver has just got to get to you race after race.
We have a little bit of time left. We got about 8 or 9 minutes because I don't want to forget Fernando Alonso. Is this his worst qualifying of the year at 9th? I don't know. You've got Sean Statman.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that
was
was
top
just
of
my
my
gut.
head.
Yeah,
I think he was the only driver, I think, to start top 8 in every race to this point. So he's 9th. I think that's a new low for him this year.
Yeah. And what do you think, Bob? Do you think that this is, they've kind of been trending slower a little bit lately? It just feels like I'm not looking at any stats, right?
Yeah. Well, and Dave can attest to it. If you're not improving, you're getting worse because everybody is improving all the time. If you stand still, you're going to fall back. Lance Stroll didn't have a whole lot of luck. It didn't help when he tripped over Esteban Ocon in the dying moments of that session. But neither Aston Martin has set the world alight, just as neither Mercedes has set the world alight. These things happen. You come in with a setup and a race plan, and things change during the sessions, and then it's time to go racing, and suddenly you're not where you want to be. And yeah, it can be tough.
All right, I think I hear Chris Medland's microphone lighting up. Mr. Medland, how is it out there in Silverstone?
It is beautiful sunny weather. It's proper British summertime now. The rain's gone. Everyone wants to go to the beach. Apologies for radio silence from my end, but as you can probably guess, I've now parked myself by Pirelli to get some Wi-Fi. And Gunther Steiner's walking by in a jacket that must be roasting, but I can't chase him because I'll lose you guys. So yeah, it's been a hectic few minutes. I don't know what we've played out actually on the show, as I haven't been able to hear, but I managed to grab the main American contingent we were going to want today. So with Logan Sargeant with his opportunities, and Zak Brown as well, who is in very high demand. He's actually about to walk back past me in the other direction. So I don't know if we played Zak's interview out, have we?
We did. We played Zak's, but we have not played Fred Vasseur's, if you want to set that up.
Yes, Fred I just grabbed as well. So I was waiting to speak to him. And realistically, my biggest question, it came halfway through, but was kind of, how shocked are you to have McLaren in front of you? Because Ferrari probably would have taken being ahead of both Mercedes and Aston Martins. And to be fair, 4th and 5th, maybe they'd have just about taken as well. But to find 2 McLarens ahead of them must have been a surprise.
Fred, and we'll get you out the sun. It's too hot here in the UK, isn't it? This typical British weather where it's really warm and sunny. But
switch off the microphone and I will tell you.
Nobody loves the British weather, but it's okay right now. It was tricky during qualifying though, so 4th and 5th, maybe not what it could have promised, but are you just kind of happy to make sure both cars are up there at the sharp end?
Yeah, it's first of all, I think it was a mega quali for the fans and the spectators. The first 3 sessions were very good ones, and I think it was a good show for us. And on our side, it's a bit so-so, because I think that in one end we are in front of our direct competitors, and it's a good result. We are in front of Mercedes and Aston. In the other end, I think we had room to do better, and we didn't put everything together, and it's a bit of a shame. But let's be focused now on tomorrow. It will be another game.
Yeah, the car did look quick in dry conditions, certainly the early FP3. So were you targeting pole position today? Did you think you could fight with Max?
Oh, you are targeting to do the best. You are not. I'm not thinking about the others, and I'm thinking on my guys and focus on what we are doing. But it's true that we didn't put everything together in Q3, and we had room to do a better lap time. It means that we are all a bit frustrated, but somehow it's also a good feeling for us that now when we are in front of Aston and Mercedes, we are a bit frustrated.
Yeah, but I guess part of that frustration is McLaren having both cars between you and Max Verstappen. Do you think there'll be a threat tomorrow in the race? Is that car quick enough to cause you trouble?
For sure, if they are in front of us, it means that they are in a position to do a good race. But again, that I'm considering everybody at the same level, and I'm not thinking that this one is stronger than this one, and so that again, the most important is to be focused on yourself and not focus on the others. we did a decent step forward compared to 3 or 4 races ago, and we have just to keep the same focus and the same approach, and it will pay off.
You mentioned that step. Is this confirmation, I guess, on this type of track that on every type of track you're kind of in that second slot behind Red Bull now?
On the paper, we were not in Silverstone was not probably our favorite track, that on the paper. But I think the pace is there from the beginning. And it's more a good surprise than something else. Now that we knew also that we didn't bring any upgrade this weekend, and it could be a challenge. But altogether, it looks to be not that bad.
Do you have a preference for tomorrow's weather? We just started talking about the weather. We'll finish talking about it.
No, and I think that it's quite difficult to have a consistent weather for more than 1 hour. That it means that as the race is 2 hours, it will be a mess.
Yeah, good luck to your strategist tomorrow.
Thank you.
Today's show is brought to you by VMware. Go faster, spend less, and be free. Make the most of multi-cloud with VMware. VMware, the smarter way to cloud. All right, guys, we just got about a minute left or so. And Chris Medland, I got to ask you about the crowd at Silverstone. You could hear it on the broadcast. It was amazing, and it was so enthusiastic. It wasn't just for Lewis and Lando. It was for Williams when they were doing good. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think we're all Williams fans today for a spell. When we've seen how quick they've been in all the practice sessions, I was desperate for it to dry up because they've been quick in the dry, and I wanted it to stay that way. And as Logan mentioned, I think he could have probably knocked on the door of the top 10 if it had been just a bit more consistent for him. He doesn't quite have the confidence to take those risks in the slippy conditions. But yeah, the crowd were loving it. And obviously they're running a big Union Jack on the back of the car to mark 800 Grand Prix, however you work out their numbers. So it's a bit of a special weekend for them. They were very, very pleased with that. And they're enjoying themselves now in the sunshine after a very solid Saturday for them.
Chris, I heard 480,000 was the expected. Is that the number you're hearing?
Yep, that's what we were told. So it's 401,000 last year, up to 480 this year. We had well over 100,000. I think it's 120,000 yesterday for practice. It's incredible. This place is like a massive festival. Yeah. Right now, Damian Lewis is playing a music set in the paddock, by the way. Homeland star Damian Lewis. It was genuinely, I walked down to interview Fred Vasseur. I was like, hang on, that guy looks familiar. It's an incredible show they're putting on here this weekend. It's up there with kind of Austin levels of a brilliant weekend.
Well, that's because Brad Pitt's movie crew is out there.
Really? I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Well, we heard
everywhere.
during the TV broadcast that they're out there shooting action sequences. So
yeah, they're everywhere. They're a whole team in the paddock. So there's 11 teams here. It's quite fun. You don't actually notice them now. They really do blend in very well. But there's a whole team, whole crew, whole garage. It's a very cool setup. I could probably describe the picture in a pit lane tomorrow.
Yeah, an 11th team. So you can do it.
At Silverstone, you can. Yeah, definitely. That's more. We could have 12 here. They've got an F1 garage as well. There's definitely space at Silverstone.
All right, guys. Well, we're out of time. Chris, thanks, buddy. Chris Medland out at Silverstone. Dave O'Neill, remote here from his house in Austin. Bob Varsha from a hotel in North Carolina. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And, of course, our shows tomorrow start at 9 a.m. Eastern for the pre-show and the race and our post-show. Talk to you tomorrow.
Cheers.
Cheers.